Something called policy violence.
Yes.
What is that?
Policy violence is, see, policy is a choice. We make a choice to give massive tax breaks to billionaires, but not a commensurate tax break to ordinary people. We make a choice to, a perfect example, during COVID, all of a sudden things that everybody's known for years, and it's like, oh my goodness, there's housing insecurity, there's food insecurity, there's healthcare insecurity. Who woke you up? It's always been this way, but now it's obvious. One of the things they did, Derek, during the height of COVID was they increased the child tax credit, which statistically instantly lifted 40% of children out of poverty. But unfortunately, as part of the negotiation for this bill, and I don't know why is there a negotiation to reduce child poverty? The Republicans told the Democrats, we're not going to vote for it unless it sunsets. So it eventually expired. The tax cuts for the billionaires, that didn't expire.
Well, they did, but they had to re-up them. They did it in the Big Beautiful Bill. They re-upped those tax cuts because the Big Beautiful Bill,
they augmented them. They increased them.
The Big Beautiful Bill was designed to stop what would have been a tax increase if those tax cuts had sunsetted.
Okay.
And so they were like, we don't want to pay. So
yeah, we don't want to pay, but who got harmed?
Right.
You have 40% of children. Who lifts a child out of poverty and then lets them go back into poverty? That's policy violence. Who would incarcerate minors with adult offenders and leave them there and think that that makes sense? That's policy violence. Who would call people to riot at the Capitol because you lost an election, got your butt whipped by 7 million votes, actually? And then when you get back in, we won't even talk about how that happened, and Musk and the tech bros and all of that. But when you get back in, one of the first things you do is pardon the felons who rioted on your behalf, hire many of them to work for ICE, to wear masks and terrorize. But that's policy violence. Mm-hmm. Policy is a choice.
What would you do about it?
Well, at the state level, one of the things you do is that maybe you don't cooperate with ICE in some of what they're in trying to execute that violence in your communities. We will not work with you. We will not support you. And in fact, in some communities, what would start to happen is you might see actual law enforcement officers, whether it be a sheriff or a local police, kind of standing in between ICE and the people they're trying to get to. It's like, no, this is our community. These people are not causing any trouble. If there's anybody causing trouble here, it's you. No. So that you want to protect your communities. And then as we discussed earlier, the other thing, and this would not be a state function, a federal function, but rather than grabbing up anybody with a Spanish accent, anybody brown skinned, and trying to deport them and then claiming, well, they're all criminals, when in fact a very, very, very small number of criminals, the level of percentage of criminality is higher in native born Americans than it is in those who were not born here. How about, instead of cutting the number of lawyers and judges in immigration courts, instead, why don't we expand it so we can get to their cases sooner and adjudicate them? And if they're found, okay, yeah, they warrant asylum, give them asylum. Yes, they should feel free to go and pursue citizenship, let them do that. And if there are those who are troublemakers and harm bringers, send them back. Not to some other country they didn't come from, but send them back to wherever they came from. That would be a policy that makes sense. A policy that, you will remember, President George W. Bush was a border state president in Texas. He tried to get that passed when he was president, and Republicans in a majority Republican Congress opposed him because it would take away a campaign issue. That's not how you govern. Policy is a choice.